All right. Thank you, Vani. Thank you, Vasudev. It is always a delight for me to join meditation and study circle. For here is an audience who have been listening to talks by many scholars and have been consistently, steadily interested in expanding the frontiers of their knowledge. There may be a few new participants too, but a good number of you have been into this study program and some meditation too for a very long time. And speakers like me have special excitement about interacting with audiences like you. Yes, we have a nice topic for this session, the light that shines without a break. Yes, the sun also one day will come to an end, but from another angle, the sun is not available to us at our night, and the sun is not available if we are in some cave or in some enclosed place. Therefore, from the subjective experience point of view, what is with me without a break? What light accompanies me without letting me down at all, any moment? And the Upanishads have an answer for this. I will be, after a little while, referring to the most well known Upanishad in this regard, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where there is a section devoted to highlight the nature of all of us, our true nature, as the light of all lights. We use the word light not, of course, in the sense of how physics would call light. For physics, light is related to the human eyes. The human eyes see any object if there is light, and physics has gone a long distance indeed. Advanced discoveries have been made about the light which physics science talks about. Light in physics is a certain range of electromagnetic waves at the lower end of frequency. It is red, and on the upper end it is violet. So we have the expression Vibgyor for the seven colors. Normally we say violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. And in science, those seven colors stand for seven frequencies. There are countless frequencies above violet also, and there are countless frequencies below red also. But the human eyes, the way they are made by God, by nature, are able to perceive only violet to red or red to violet. And when those electromagnetic waves of such frequencies are around, we are able to see other persons, objects, and anything. But in spirituality, we talk about light, and therefore we may say the word light is used in a figurative sense. Literally, the light of spirituality is the principle of consciousness. Consciousness or awareness. And since the word consciousness is used on many levels, we say somebody lost consciousness, he fainted. And does Vedanta agree that he lost consciousness? Going by the very title or topic of this session, even the man who fainted and looks almost dead, he is conscious. He is not conscious of the outer world. If you stand next to him, wave your hand and say, "Hey, do you see me? Do you hear me?" No response. But from the Vedanta perspective, he is Sat, he is Chit, he is Ananda. Even at that moment, when other people say he is unconscious. Therefore, the word consciousness in lay usage stands for being aware of objects of this waking world, people of this waking world, and so on. Otherwise, the word consciousness is also employed to indicate a certain aspect of the conditioning of human mind. For example, someone like J. Krishnamurti would say, violence has been in human consciousness from time immemorial. So the word consciousness, when you say violence is in it, violence is part of it, stands for more or less the mind itself. Human mind has always had some amount of violence. Some are expressly violent, and many others are outwardly calm, but in certain situations when they are provoked, they will be very violent and maybe violent in a way that can damage more things than the physically violent ones do. So we are not here to talk about violence. We say violence has been in human consciousness. That expression or that use of the word is distinct from what we are going to deal with in this session. This consciousness, therefore, by masters like Pujya Swami Chinmayananda ji, was often referred to as pure consciousness. Consciousness without any object, without any name or form in it. Pure light. But lastly, the word light is not to be mixed up with the light of physics. Long back, someone in Indiranagar had asked me, isn't this Atma that you are talking about ultimately energy? Technically, it is that from which all energy rises, that from which all perceptions rise, emotions rise. It is that from which even gross objects rise. Energy, if used in a very large sense, yes, may be equated with the pure self. But generally, we use the word energy also as specific forms: kinetic energy, potential energy, energy of gravity, where force acts upon an object and the object may move. There is so much of discussion on energy again in science. Matter and energy are considered on some occasions, in some contexts, as two entities. And for long, they thought matter can never be destroyed. Matter will remain in matter form, physical, whether gross, that is solid, liquid, or gaseous. And then discoveries were made. Matter can be converted to energy, and the very well-known equation E equals mc squared was presented. Therefore, in E equals mc squared, E is energy and m is mass. In that equation, E is not m is not E, but a relation between E and m in the context of if so much of m mass is converted to energy, how much will it be? Or so much of energy is converted into mass, how much mass will you get from so much of energy? Like dollars versus rupees. When you say dollar rose or rupee rose, it's about dollars being converted to rupees or rupees being converted to dollars. So, in such context, energy is something different from matter. But if you use the word energy in a very deep sense, for example, Shakti is energy, Shiva is the pure self, then it is said Shiva and Shakti are never separate. Shiva and Shakti are one only. Then you have taken the word Shakti or energy to a very deep level of consideration. Then, yes, you may say the pure self is the highest form of energy. Otherwise, the pure self is hard to define. It's beyond words, beyond description, and the pure self, which has no birth, no death, and no old age, no disease, nothing affects it, and that pure self is the light of all lights. We shall now see a little bit of how Vedanta talks about this light that doesn't take a break, that shines without taking a break. It's not only Vedanta, but in Bhakti Sahitya, in the literature of devotional uh, works. There also you have a beautiful concept. Mahavishnu is lying, Ananta Shayana, and they say he is in Yoga Nidra. And the scriptures say, please don't imagine Mahavishnu having gone to sleep now for a while doesn't know anything. No way. In Yoga Nidra, Mahavishnu, even though shown as asleep, knows everything as ever before. Therefore, though asleep, he knows. Yoga Nidra of Mahavishnu. Those who do a hurried study of Sanatana Dharma, of Hinduism, say, what is this Hinduism? Their God goes to sleep. Our God never sleeps, etc. Mahavishnu doesn't sleep. It is a profound concept, apparently asleep, but really ever awake. That is what in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Vinashyatsu avinashyantam. When things die, when things perish, when things go from existence to non-existence, this reality remains as ever before. Bhagavad Gita has at several places reference to the nature of the supreme truth which shines without a break. Even the expression Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagarti Sanyami, though referring to an enlightened lady or man in that context, refers to the abidance, nishtha, of that lady or man in that truth which is ever awake. All are asleep, but the Sanyami, the enlightened one, is awake. The Sanyami is anchored in the pure self, which is ever awake. In Kathopanishad, there is this line, Ya esha supteshu jagarti. That also means when all are supta, asleep, this one, jagarti, is awake. So the Gita, the Upanishads, and a new number of scriptures talk about certain light which never takes a break, shining, shining all the time. And this has been expressed as Prajnanam, Samvit, or Jyoti. In the Brahadaranyaka, in the fourth chapter, third section, and sections are called Brahmanas there. Therefore, 4.3, in fact, has a name, Jyotir Brahmana. Jyotir Brahmana. Somewhere else, when the dialogue is between Maitreyi and Yajnavalkya, it is called Maitreyi Brahmana. Such a title is given. So the word Jyoti also refers to that supreme light, the pure light, the light that is not conditioned in any manner, the light that is not active in the normal sense. In the normal sense, when something is active, it's wonderful that is active, but activity means expenditure of energy. Activity means, in philosophy, a vikar, a modification. As you act, you get modified, you change. You start running, everybody applauds. You keep running, people say, wow, look at him. He has been running for 1 hour, now 2 hours, marathon. But then 4 hours, 5 hours maybe, and you say, I am exhausted. You want to just lie down. So activity, which is wonderful to see, also brings about change. But the pure self does not reduce, does not increase. The pure self knows no change. Upon the substrate of the pure self, millions of things may happen. Millions of living or non-living entities may show up on this pure self, and they may have change. They rise, they fall, they grow, they decay, they die, they are born again. All those happen in those millions or billions of other entities. But the pure self, the light of consciousness, knows no change, no modification at all. So, with this little background, let us take a look at how in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in Jyotir Brahmana, which is the third section of the fourth chapter in the whole Brahat Upanishad, big Upanishad, which has 6 chapters. It is a Shashtadhyayi. Another big Upanishad, Chandogya, is Ashtadhyayi, though there is a grammar work called Ashtadhyayi. It is not to be confused with that. But in the simple sense of a book that has 8 chapters, Chandogya Upanishad may be called Ashtadhyayi. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is Shashtad. Oh, I should say not Shashtadhyayi, that would be wrong. Shadadhyayi. So, Shat is 6. And yes, Shat Adhyayaha Asyam Santi iti Shadadhyayi. So, uh, in the fourth chapter, Adhyaya, and third section, Brahmana, you have The student, who is no other than King Janaka. It has an interesting way the story starts. One day Yajnavalkya meets or visits King Janaka, and in his mind he thinks he will not give a discourse that day. For all of us also there are, all of us go into certain moods sometimes where we just want to be without talking, without giving lectures, etc. Just let's sit silently. So Yajnavalkya was in that mood. However, as soon as King Janaka receives him in the palace, King Janaka is an excellent student and he has questions, but he notices that Yajnavalkya seems to be in a mood where he doesn't intend to speak. So is it all right for me to ask him a question and make him speak? And then it is said, sometime back, Yajnavalkya and Janaka had met somewhere where some Agnihotra ritual, probably in certain elaborate form, was being performed. And then some other scholars or some other karmakandis, some other practitioners of Vedic karma were doing it, and Yajnavalkya and Janaka, seated at a distance, started talking about what this Agnihotra is, what the benefits of it are, what are the hidden secrets of it, and so on. And Yajnavalkya was very impressed by the amount of knowledge King Janaka had already gathered about Agnihotra, and very pleased with Yajnavalkya, very pleased with King Janaka. Yajnavalkya on that occasion had said, I am so delighted to know your profound knowledge, vast knowledge of the Vedas. Janaka, I give you a boon. That boon is in the form of you may ask me questions anytime without hesitating. The mantra says, Tasmai Yajnavalkyaha Varam Dadau Kama Prashnameva. Kama, whenever you desire, Prashna, you may ask a question. And Janaka grabbed it. Kama Prashnam Eva Vavre. He chose, yes, I am very happy to accept this Vara, boon, which you have given me. So now, even as his mind was a little hesitant, Janaka says, I know once I ask a question rather than getting annoyed, irritated, or anything, Yajnavalkya will actually be happy to get down to a discussion, to throw light on this topic. It is thus that the third Brahmana of the fourth chapter starts with a bang. Yajnavalkya is questioned by Janaka. Hey Yajnavalkya, kim jyotihi ayam purushaha? Here word purusha means any man, any woman, any of us. So for simplicity of language, let us say a man. What does a man have as light? What is light for a man? Now, once more, the light, as science would consider, is a limited form of limited interpretation of that word. In philosophy, light is that by which you know. Even a learned man could be called a light, for thanks to his teachings, thanks to his good work, many have gained immense knowledge. So, someone who shows the path, that person can also be called light. So, Kim Jyotihi Ayam Purusha. iti pruchhati Janakaha. And then the discussion proceeds step by step. Though both of them are pretty much learned, very learned, Yajnavalkya first says, Aditya, the sun in the sky, is the light. It is by the light of the sun that every man, every woman, every animal, everybody, everyone, aste is able to sit properly at a comfortable place. Aste, palyayate, goes around for doing this or that activity. Karma kurute, having gone here or having gone there, it is by the light of the sun that one actually does. Karma kurute. You may go to a construction site, and if it is raining cats and dogs, if it's bit of dark also, you can't do much work. But if it is good weather, nice sunshine, then you work. Karma kurute. And then vipalyeti. After going somewhere, doing some work, all of which is possible thanks to the sunlight, one is able to return home also if there is sunlight. In an ordinary context, vipalyeti means returns back. Then a kind of mantra repeats on different levels. Janaka asks Yajnavalkya, Astam ite aditye. Astam ite means astam gate, having set. With the sun having set, or when sun has set, what is light? What light is available for a human being? Then slowly taking thought development a step forward, Yajnavalkya says, well, when the sun has set, there is the moon in the sky. Chandramaha eva asya purushasya narasya naryaha va Chandramaha eva jyoti bhavati. And with its own literary beauty, these expressions repeat. I will not repeat them, but to give one instance, Chandramasa eva ayam jyotisha aste palyayate karma kurute vipalyeti iti evam. Then when the sun has set, moon also is not seen in the sky, maybe a new moon night, reference could be Amavasya. And then who is light? What is light? Well, we burn fire. Fire is burning. Agnihi eva asya purushasya jyotihi. And then the question is, well, astamite aditye, astamite chandramasi, shante agnau. When the fuel, let us say, got over, the flame that was burning was put out. There was no flame anymore. Then what happens? No sun, no moon, no fire also. The Upanishad portion says, well, that is Yajnavalkya says to Janaka, Vak eva asya jyoti. Vak means speech. Speech means sound. Some of us may wonder, how can speech be light? The idea is, if you are walking towards some place when there was some fire burning, or these days electric lamps were on, there was suddenly something that fire got extinguished, or all these lights, electric lights went off because of power. Power failed. You are stunned. Oh my, how do I proceed? And then somebody at a distance claps. Somebody makes a sound or speaks. Walk is speech. Just to keep moving in the same direction. Move towards me. Move towards me. Do not hesitate. Do not be afraid. There is no pit. There is no chance of your slipping, your tripping. Come forward. So maybe just a clap, just a sound. Shankaracharya in his commentary says, likewise, it could be smell also. It is sound or it is smell. You've gone some distance and then there is suddenly no light of the ordinary kind. Then you smell, you smell the fragrance of some particular flowers which you are able to recognize, which happens to be a little towards right. And you say, yeah, I will now turn towards right. So the smell helped you know in which direction to move. Therefore, that smell also is light. Anything that helps us know, anything that enables us to figure out where something is. Now comes the last part, leading to the light that does not take a break. Astamite Adit 1, Astamite Chandramasi 2, Shante Agnau 3, Shantayam Vachi 4. When sun has set, moon is not found, fire is put out, and no speech, no smell, no such indication for the senses to grasp and then guide us. In that scenario, Kim Jyoti, that is when Yajnavalkya does not introduce any further levels in between. In the famous mantra in Kathopanishad and Mundakopanishad, this mantra appears at both places. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agni. Five sources of light are talked about there. Surya, Chandra, Nakshatrani, stars, and then fire and lightning. So, couple of them don't appear here. They don't have to. Next step, Yajnavalkya takes Janaka to contemplate on the light of the pure self. It is said, Atma eva asya jyotir bhavati. Atma, the inmost truth of you and me, the inmost truth of everyone, every living being. And Vedanta then shows to us or reveals to us that this inmost conscious principle is actually even in inert objects, but in inert objects in a table or a chair, not the fault of the consciousness, chit, which is very much in it, but due to the limitations of the upadhi, of the limiting adjunct, the chair doesn't have the facility to express that chit. In that sense, a dead body also has not only Sat, Chit, and Ananda, all three. Because in the Vedanta, Sat, Chit, and Sukha are not separable. They are not three also. Sat eva Chit, Chit eva Sukham, Sukham eva Sat, Sukham eva Chit. So Sat, Chit, and Sukha are one only in different contexts. One of them is mentioned. Therefore, does a dead body have consciousness? It has consciousness, but because the body is dead, body has changed in some way, the chit is not able to express. through the dead body. You stand before a wall, you stand before a mirror. Before a mirror, you see your reflection. Before a wall, which has a rough surface, doesn't have a smooth surface, unlike the mirror, you can't see your reflection. Both places, there is the energy called light going back and forth. The light that goes from you, first of all, light comes on your face, that is reflected, it goes to the mirror, and then it gets reflected from there, enters your eyes, you see your reflection. That is how physics explains how you see your own face in a mirror. It is the forward and backward movement of light. And there is such forward and backward movement of light even when you stand in front of a wall. But the wall surface being what it is, you don't see an image. Therefore, this Atma eva ayam jyoti is the punchline here. And talking about Atma, there is quite a bit of different forms of discussion. It is said, even in deep sleep, you are shining. In deep sleep, too, you are light, but there are no objects in deep sleep. There is no name and form. There is no color or sound to illumine. Right here, let me say, that is where sometimes it may be wrongly imagined that when we don't perceive anything, we too are nothing. The Vedanta does not agree. When there is no sound heard, no touch experienced, no shabda, no sparsha, no rupa, no rasa, no gandha, no bhavana, no vichara, no emotion, no thought, please don't say pure consciousness went on leave, took a break. No. Vedanta says objects are no objects. You are. You never perish. You never get destroyed. There was a man who asked a friend of his, look up, tell me what is in the sky. The man looked up and said, I see six, seven birds are flying. The man said, that's good. After 2 minutes, the man again asked, now tell me what is in the sky. Oh, only 3 birds. I don't know where the other 4 went. 3 birds are going in circles, I can see. After another minute, the friend had to say, there is only 1 bird now. And now the friend says, I don't see anything at all. There is no bird. There is no object. Then the man said to his friend, no, the problem is you don't see anything now because, my dear, you have gone blind. If you say I don't see, that's enough for me to conclude. You have gone blind. No, ridiculous. If birds have left the place, if there is nothing shining, nothing moving, nothing, with name and form up there in the sky, how do you go blind? Objects or no objects, the pure consciousness that you are keeps shining. That is how, coming straight into the topic and using the words that are employed to make the topic in this Jyotir Brahmana of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, we have a set of 8 mantras. These 8 mantras have explicitly the expression. What expression? It is there is no lapse, there is no stop, there is no break in the shining of this light. And the 8 mantras, which are so similar, many words in these mantras are almost a repetition, and that probably was very helpful to students in the good old days, whereas you may know, there were no books. Vedic learning consisted in oral tradition. You speak, Guru speaks, Guru chants, Guru recites, the disciples repeat after him. And then these disciples go for practice sessions where memorizing, remembering what they recited in the class, they go on repeating them. Therefore, even a string of mantras, on one hand, has certain poetic beauty. On the other, it helps us remember certain teachings which are very important are better remembered if we repeat them in our mind. Sometimes you have 8 paragraphs, and except for a few words, everything else is the same in those 8 paragraphs. So we have beginning with eyes. Yadvai tanna pashyati, pashyan vai tanna pashyati, nahi drashtur drishtehe viparilopo vidyate, अविनाशित्वात् न तो तद्वितीयमस्ति ततो अन्यद् vibhaktam yat pashyet. The main part of this mantra is nahi drashtuhu drishhtehe viparilopo vidyate. You are the seer, you are the drashta, and you have the power to see, that is drishti. You have drishti, you are the drashta. This drishti, ability to see, or the act of seeing, this drishti which belongs to you who are the drashta never has viparilopa. Lopa itself means lapse, a short break. Many a time, even in prosperous cities of affluent, developed countries, not for minutes or hours, a whole day, there may be no power. Something goes wrong somewhere, it should not, but it does. In all the developed countries also, accidents take place. Many things go wrong. In Los Angeles airport, I believe many years ago, a certain plane came, and instead of landing upon land, it landed upon a plane which was parked. Imagine a second plane parking or landing on this body of the first plane, which is on the ground. Many kinds of errors, many accidents do take place. And thus, coming back to power, there is power shutdown. And weather being very cold in these countries like America and England, etc., if there is no power, the room heating and all those ACs, etc., don't work, it can be so terrible. Let's not go into it. This pure consciousness that you are actually simply by its nature doesn't take a break. Drishte viparilopaha na vidyate avinashitvat. Because this truth is, by its nature, indestructible, avinashi. The second paragraph or the second mantra in the sect of 8. In the fourth chapter and third section, these 8 mantras are from mantra number 23 to mantra number 30. The second, which is the 24th mantra, says, Yadvai tanna jigrati, jigran vai tanna jigrati, nahi gratuhu gratehe viparilopo vidyate, avinashitvat, natu tadvitiyamasti tato anyadvibhaktam yajjigret. Once more, the most important line here is Gratuhu gratehe viparilopaha na vidyate. You are the smeller, you smell, and you have this faculty of smelling. You have this capacity to smell. And this capacity to smell has no break. Gratehe viparilopaha na vidyate. If there is no object with any odor, with any smell, fragrance or bad smell, that's not your fault. You are aware of the nature of that truth which smells, which sees, which hears. If particular equipment, upadi, the external level, is not functioning, don't say you lost capacity to smell. Just as instead of mirror, some rough surface is in front of you, don't say, looks like I lost my face. I don't see my image there. Maybe I don't have a face now. You have your face. You are in one piece. You are good. But the mirror has gone away. Therefore, that's the equipment problem. Consciousness is ever present. The third one is where it is the reference of tongue. There it is said, Yadvai tanna rasayate, rasayanvai tanna rasayate, and so on. And the main part is Rasaituhu, one who tastes, Rasayatehe, with regard to one's capacity to taste sweet or sour, bitter or salty. Rasaituhu, Rasayatehe, Viparilopaha na vidyate. Wonderful. Avinashitva. Because by its nature. Don't ask why is fire hot? Don't ask why is the sun burning brightly, shining every day. Some days, why don't we see the sun as a black, dark disk up in the sky? Then it won't be sun. Sun means shining. Sugar is sweet. Fire is hot. Fire being hot is the best example in this context. Its nature is that. Like that, avinashitva is the nature of pure consciousness. Then the fourth one refers to speaking. Vadati, vadanvai tan na vadati, na vadati, tan na vadati. No one can speak of it. It too, in its true nature, while having the capacity, unless the equipment comes around, unless there is some environment that is set, there may not be expression of its capacity to speak. However, we must say, Vaktuhu vaktehe viparilopaha na vidyate. Vakta is the one who speaks. Vakta. Vakti iti vakta. Vaktuhu vaktehe. The fifth one is Shrotuhu Shrutehe, context of Shravana. The fifth one, Shravana is listening. Fifth one is the context of thinking. You have all the capacity to think, but in a certain setting, suppose the associated equipment is not available, someone may mistake you as having lost your capacity to speak. Years ago, at a place called Mount Madonna in California, Swami Chidananda of Washington, D.C., and I drove the car that day from San Jose to Mount Madonna. We went there and met Baba Haridas. He was an Indian saint who had migrated to Americas, and I think he was speaking, singing bhajans, teaching, etc. for some time. But then sometime later, a few years, I guess, into his living in USA, where he had already influenced some people, people were coming to learn from him. Baba Haridas announced, I am going to be silent here onward indefinitely. Baba Haridas did not speak at all for some 30 or 40 years, or maybe even till his death. He died later. The center continues, Mount Madonna Center. There is a Hanuman temple. There are a lot of disciples, devotees uh, of Indian origin and of foreign European or other origins. So, Dhirananda and I asked him some questions, and he wrote so fast on a slate. Not even those days, all this electronic, iPad, etc., had not come, but he had kept a simple slate, and on the chalk piece or some writing tool, he answered. And one question we asked is, Baba, you have not been speaking for many years. Have you lost your ability to speak? Immediately said, no way. I know I can speak any moment I want. Yes, ordinarily, if somebody doesn't talk for a long time, he may even lose. The organs may go defunct. He wrote on this plate, I do a certain pranayama every day, and I'm 100% confident that I can speak as I did before. So again, you see, the pranayama is required to make the parts of the body which are involved in speaking, to make them stay in shape. That doesn't apply to the pure consciousness. The Atma that you are doesn't require some special exercises, for by its very nature, it is the knowing principle. Lastly, in seventh and eighth mantra, in the set of eight, about touching and about knowing, the buddhi context. Touching, nahi sprashtuhu sprishtehe viparilopo vidyate avinashitva. Sprashta is one who does sparsha. Sprashati iti sprashta. And that innate capacity to touch and get the sense of touch is sprishti. Like drish becomes drishti, sprash becomes sprishti. Sprashtehe viparilopah na vidyate avinashitvat. Natu tadvitiyamasti. And this alone is true. As you go deeper in your understanding, you realize other things do not exist. Other things are mere appearance. A rainbow may appear in the sky, but there is no rainbow which you can go hold in hand and bring it home and put it in your drawing room. Move your hand over there. First of all, as you go to another angle or another height, you will not see the rainbow. The rainbow is an optic illusion that happens at a certain angle. You and that space and the angle at which the sun rays are coming, there is a mathematics about it. Exactly at particular angle when the sun rays hit the molecules of water which are suspended in the air over there, and if you happen to be at a certain angle with respect to that spot, you see the rainbow. If you move a little up or down, right or left, you may not see. There's a certain range only. So there's a physics about it. There's a maths about it. I used to be sometimes on panels to select teachers, science teachers for a school in Varanasi. So I would ask them the question, what is rainbow? Then I would ask, why is the rainbow always circular? Why not rectangle? Why not triangle? And many boys who had done MSc also used to be puzzled. They never thought about it. So it's this angle business. All those molecules who, with respect to you, the viewer, have the same angle, some 47 degree or there's some angle. So on a wall, those dots with respect to which you have the same angle. From you to that point is one line, and the wall, let us say, is the vertical line is the second. Between these two straight lines, what is the angle? Then you find that would be a circle. Those points which have the same angle between the vertical straight line of the wall and the straight line from you to that point form are a circle. So very many students who have done MSc, who have worked for a year or two, want to be teachers at this school, could not. Of course, that's not their fault. They may have excellent knowledge in some other part of the same science. I don't hold them to be utterly ignorant. I used to ask them a question. A bird is sitting on an electric wire, and that is supposed to be at high voltage, many kilovolts. Why is the bird not getting electrocuted? One girl was very bright otherwise. In so many other aspects of physics, she answered very well. But when I asked, being one of the members of the panel, there were others who knew more science than I did. She just said, I don't know. I don't know why the bird is not getting the electric shock. As many of you or all of you know, the simple reason is the bird may be touching a point which is maybe 2000 volts with respect to what is called zero level, but the circuit is not complete. If the bird were to have at its tail a metal wire which touches the ground, then the circuit is complete. Anyway, coming back, the rainbow, you can't bring it home. It's not real. Likewise, this body, this mind, this personality of ours which was born on a certain date and will die on another date is all like the rainbow, provided you go to that height of spiritual wisdom. And that's how Advaita Vedanta calls Jagat Mithya. The rainbow is beautiful. Advaita Vedantins also enjoy the sight of rainbow. But in Paramartha Chintana, you go deeper into finding out the nature of the rainbow. It is only water molecules there on a rainy day. Like that, this body, this mind, my house, my bank balance, my spouse, my children, all of them have validity. They have validity in a certain context. And lastly, you are actually capable of rising in consciousness. Your consciousness is today very body, you are body conscious. You are conscious of lots of physical things, and they seem to be so real. Swami Chidananda used to say, moksha is a state of consciousness. The consciousness of you and I can rise and rise and rise and go to a certain level. We are in that state of consciousness where we are aware of our being awareness and nothing else at all. All else is ayaram gayaram, comes and goes. All else don't or does not hold us in their grip. Today we are in the clutches of this body, this mind, but we get freed from the clutches of body and mind. We are free from the clutches of pradhana. In Sankhya, they use the word Purusha and Pradhana for Purusha and Prakriti elsewhere. So Pradhana doesn't hold you in its clutches. Purusha that you are, the spirit that you are, get liberated. This way, there is a certain truth about us which is indestructible. We are that light that has no break, that shines without a break. Om Namah Paramarashibhyo Namah Paramarashibhyaha.